I was pulling the cake from the oven when Maya walked in. The kitchen was warm, almost too warm, and the scent of vanilla and butter filled every corner of the house. I'd been up since 5 that morning, measuring and mixing, testing the buttercream 3 times to get the texture right. My back ached from standing, and there was a burn on my thumb from where I'd touched the rack too carelessly an hour ago. But it didn't matter. It was Maya's birthday, my little sister. She was turning 23, and this cake, this 3-layer masterpiece with hand-piped roses and her name written in gold leaf, was supposed to be perfect. She looked at it, tilted her head, and said nothing for a moment. I set the final layer down carefully, my hands trembling just slightly from exhaustion. I'd been doing this for years. Every birthday, every celebration, every family gathering, I was the one who baked. It was what I did, what I was known for, what made me useful. "Well?" I asked, smiling despite the exhaustion pulling at my bones. "What do you think?" Maya wrinkled her nose. Not dramatically, just enough. "It's nice, Lara," she said slowly, like she was choosing her words carefully. "But honestly, it's kind of mediocre." The word landed like a stone in still water. Mediocre. I blinked. "What?" "I mean, it's fine for a home baker," she continued, already turning away to grab her phone from the counter. "But I've been following this patisserie downtown, and their cakes are incredible, like actual art. This just feels basic." She said it so casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I stood there, spatula still in hand, buttercream hardening on my fingers. The cake sat between us, 3 perfect layers that had taken me 6 hours to create, 6 hours of my time, my effort, my care, and she called it mediocre. "I worked really hard on this," I said quietly. "I know." She didn't look up from her phone. "And I appreciate it. I'm just being honest. Isn't that what sisters are supposed to do?" My mother appeared in the doorway then, drawn by the conversation, or maybe just the smell of baking. She smiled at Maya first, and she always smiled at Maya first and then glanced at the cake. "Oh, Lara, it looks lovely," she said, but her tone was light, dismissive. Though Maya does have a point. Those professional bakeries really do create stunning work. Maybe next time you could just order something. Save yourself the trouble. Save myself the trouble. I looked at my mother, then at Maya, who was already texting someone, probably sharing the mediocre cake with her friends, and I felt something inside me crack. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet hairline fracture that spider-webbed through my chest. "Sure," I heard myself say. "Maybe I will." Neither of them noticed the change in my voice. The party happened anyway. I brought the cake out, candles lit, and everyone sang. Maya blew them out with a laugh, made a wish she didn't share, and cut into the layers I'd spent all morning perfecting. People ate it. They said it was delicious. Some even asked for seconds. But I didn't eat any. I stood in the corner of the dining room watching, and all I could taste was that word. Mediocre. That night, after everyone had gone home and the house was quiet, I sat alone in the kitchen. Crumbs and frosting smears covered the counter. Dishes filled the sink. I should have been cleaning, but I couldn't move. I just sat there, staring at the empty cake stand, and wondered when I'd become invisible. I'd been baking since I was 12. It started because my mother couldn't, or wouldn't, and someone had to make birthdays feel special. I taught myself from library books and online videos, staying up late to practice techniques, burning batches until I got them right. Baking became my language. My way of saying I love you, I see you, you matter. But somewhere along the way, it became expected. Not appreciated. Expected. Maya never thanked me, not really. She'd smile, she'd take photos, she'd post them online with captions about family traditions. But she never saw the hours behind them, never saw me. And my mother? She'd stopped noticing years ago. As long as there was a cake, she was satisfied. It didn't matter that I made it. It didn't matter what it cost me. I thought about Daniel then, my fiancé, the man I'd been with for 5 years. He'd been at the party too, standing beside Maya most of the evening. They got along well, too well sometimes. He'd laughed at her jokes, complimented her dress, helped her carry gifts to her car, and when I'd asked him what he thought of the cake, he'd shrugged. "It was good," he said, "but you always stress too much about these things. It's just cake, Lara. Just cake." I pressed my palms against the cool marble counter and closed my eyes. The next morning, I woke up tired. Bone-deep tired, the kind that sleep doesn't fix. I went through my routine mechanically, shower, coffee, check my phone. Maya had posted photos from her party. In every single one, the cake was cropped out. What remained were pictures of her, glowing and radiant, surrounded by friends and family who adored her. I scrolled through the comments. Everyone gushed about how beautiful she looked, how lucky she was, how perfect everything seemed. No one mentioned the cake. No one mentioned me. I set my phone down and stared at nothing. That evening, Daniel came over. We were supposed to finalize our wedding plans. Venue, menu, flowers, all the details that had been piling up for months. But when he arrived, he seemed distracted. "Maya texted me," he said, dropping onto the couch. "She wants help finding a new apartment. I told her I'd go look at places with her this weekend." "This weekend?" I echoed. "We have the tasting scheduled." "Can't you reschedule?" He didn't look at me. "She really needs help, and you know how your mum gets if I say no." I stared at him. At this man I'd planned to marry. This man who chose my sister's apartment, hunt over our wedding tasting. "Sure," I said. "I'll reschedule." He smiled, relieved, and kissed my forehead. "You're the best." I wasn't the best. I was just easy, convenient, mediocre. The pattern continued. Days bled into weeks. I kept baking, for family dinners, for office parties, for neighbours who asked, and every time I poured myself into it. Every time I hoped someone would see, but they didn't. Maya asked me to make cupcakes for her office event. I made 200, individually decorated. She took them without a thank you, just a quick, "These'll do." My mother asked me to make a cake for her book club. I created a lemon lavender masterpiece that took 12 hours. She served it with a casual, "Lara made this," as if I were a service, not a person. Daniel asked me to make dessert for a dinner party with his colleagues. I made miniature tarts, 6 different varieties, each one a tiny work of art. He presented them without mentioning me at all. I was disappearing, slowly, quietly, one cake at a time. And then came the night I broke. It was Daniel's birthday. I'd planned for weeks. I made his favourite, a chocolate hazelnut torte with layers of praline and silk ganache. It took 2 days of preparation. I barely slept. When I brought it out, his colleagues applauded. Maya, who'd invited herself to the dinner, took photos. My mother beamed. And Daniel? He cut into it, tasted it, and said, "It's good, but honestly, I've had better at that bakery near my office." The table went quiet for just a moment. Then Maya laughed, breaking the tension. "See?" she said, nudging Daniel. "I told Lara the same thing. Home baking just isn't the same as professional." They laughed together. My mother smiled indulgently, and I sat there, watching them, feeling something inside me die. I excused myself quietly, went to the bathroom and locked the door. I looked at myself in the mirror, at the exhaustion carved into my face, the flour still dusted in my hair, the burn scars on my hands from years of caring too much. And I thought, what am I doing? I was killing myself for people who didn't even see me. I was pouring love into a void and calling it family. I left the bathroom. I went back to the table. I sat through the rest of the dinner with a smile that felt like glass. When everyone left, Daniel stayed. He tried to kiss me, to thank me for the evening, but I stepped back. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "I'm just tired." I was so tired. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I thought a thought about every cake I'd ever made, every early morning, every late night, every burn and cut and aching muscle. I thought about Maya's dismissiveness, my mother's indifference, Daniel's casual cruelty, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. But I didn't know how to stop. This was who I was. The baker, the giver, the one who made things special for everyone else. I closed my eyes and felt the weight of it crushing me. I didn't hear the car. I was crossing the street the next morning, head down, mind elsewhere. I'd been up all night, turning over the same thoughts again and again until they'd worn grooves into my brain. The horn blared too late. I looked up and saw the truck bearing down on me. Too close, too fast, and I knew with perfect clarity that I wouldn't make it. There was no time to be afraid, just a split second of recognition. Oh, this is how it ends. And then impact. The pain was brief, intense, and then gone. And then there was nothing. Nothing for a long time, until there was everything. I woke up gasping. My chest heaved like I'd been drowning, and for a moment I couldn't remember where I was. The room spun. My hands clutched at soft sheets, and I blinked hard against the morning light streaming through a window I recognized but couldn't place. Wait. I knew this room. This was my old room. The one I'd lived in before I moved in with Daniel. I sat up slowly, heart hammering. On the nightstand, my phone buzzed. I grabbed it with shaking hands and looked at the screen. The date stared back at me. 3 years ago. I dropped the phone, picked it up again, checked the date 3 more times. 3 years ago. The week before Maya's 20th birthday. No, this couldn't be real. I stood, stumbled to the mirror. The face that looked back at me was younger, softer, unfamiliar in its hopefulness. I touched my cheek, watched my reflection do the same, and felt something slot into place in my mind. I'd died. I remembered the truck, the impact, the darkness, and now I was here, 3 years in the past, with all my memories intact. I sat back down on the bed, slowly, as my breathing evened out and my mind began to work through the impossibility of what had happened. I'd been given another chance. The realization settled over me like snowfall. Quiet, complete, transforming everything it touched. I knew what came next. I knew every decision I'd make, every sacrifice, every moment I'd spend trying to earn love from people who didn't value me. And I knew, with perfect clarity, that I wouldn't do it again. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "Can you make my birthday cake this year? Same as always? 3." I stared at the message for a long time. In my first life, I'd responded immediately with enthusiasm. I'd started planning the cake that same day. I'd spent weeks deciding on flavors, researching techniques, practicing roses until my hands cramped. I typed slowly. "I'm not available this year." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The response came within seconds. "What? Why not?" "I have other commitments." "But you always make my cake." I looked at those words, "You always make my cake," and felt nothing but tired recognition. "Not this time," I typed. I turned my phone off before she could respond. The silence that followed was immense. Over the next few days, Maya tried different tactics. She texted, she called, she showed up at my door with wide eyes and a trembling lip, asking what was wrong, why I was being like this, didn't I love her? And every time I looked at her and felt only clarity. "I do love you," I said calmly. "But I'm not making your cake." "But why?" "Because I don't want to." It was that simple. And that devastating for her. She couldn't understand. In her mind, I was the sister who baked. That was my role, my purpose. Stepping outside of it didn't make sense to her. She went to our mother. My mother called, her voice tight with confusion. "Lara, what's this about you refusing to make Maya's cake? She's very upset." "I know," I said, "but I'm not changing my mind." "This is so unlike you. Are you feeling all right?" "I'm feeling fine. I just don't want to make the cake." "But I always did," I interrupted gently. "That doesn't mean I always have to." The silence on the other end was long and uncomfortable. "Well," my mother said finally, "I suppose we'll just have to order something." "That sounds like a good idea," I said. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat with the phone in my hand, waiting for the guilt to arrive, waiting for the crushing weight of letting them down. It didn't come. Instead, I felt light, unburdened, free. Maya's birthday arrived. They ordered a cake from the patisserie downtown, the one Maya had admired in my first life. It was beautiful, professional, perfect. I saw the photos on social media. Maya looked happy. She cut into it with a smile, surrounded by friends and family, and everyone praised how stunning it was. I scrolled past without feeling anything. That evening, Daniel texted. We'd only been dating a year at this point in the timeline, and things weren't as serious yet. "Wasn't that your sister's birthday?" "Yes." "Did you make her cake?" "No." "Oh, that's weird. Why not?" "Didn't feel like it." He sent a confused emoji but didn't push further. I turned my phone off and made myself dinner. Just for me. Something I enjoyed. I ate it slowly, tasting every bite, and felt more satisfied than I had in years. The days that followed established a new pattern. My mother invited me to family dinner. I declined. Maya asked me to help her move into her new apartment. I said I was busy. Daniel suggested I meet his colleagues at a dinner party and maybe bring dessert. I said no. Each refusal was small, quiet. But together, they built a wall around me, a boundary, and behind that wall, I started living differently. I still baked, but only for myself. I made things I wanted to make, experimented with recipes I'd never had time for when I was baking for everyone else. I took a pottery class. I started reading again. I slept. I slept so much in those first few weeks, catching up on years of exhaustion. And slowly, I remembered who I'd been before I became useful. 3 months passed. Maya's attitude shifted. She stopped texting as much. When we did see each other at family gatherings, she was polite but distant. She didn't understand this version of me, the one who said no. My mother tried to bridge the gap. "Lara, sweetheart, Maya's been feeling like you don't care about her anymore. Maybe you could do something nice? Bake her something?" "I do care about her," I said, "but I'm not going to bake for her." "Why are you being so stubborn about this?" "I'm not being stubborn. I'm being honest. I spent years baking for people who didn't appreciate it. I'm not doing that anymore." "But we did appreciate it." "No," I said gently. "You expected it. That's different." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Something in my face must have told her I wouldn't be moved. Daniel took longer to understand. At 6 months, he started getting frustrated with my boundaries. I wouldn't drop everything to help Maya anymore. I wouldn't bake for his work events. I wouldn't rearrange my schedule to accommodate his last-minute plans. "You've changed," he said one evening, and it sounded like an accusation. "I have," I agreed. "I don't like it." I looked at him. This man I'd almost married in another life. This man who'd stood beside my sister at my birthday dinner and told me my cake wasn't as good as a bakery's. "I know," I said. "And that's okay." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means we want different things." Lara, come on, don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, I'm being clear. I took a breath. You want someone who'll bend to fit your life. Someone easy and accommodating. Someone who'll always say yes. And you're saying you won't? I'm saying I can't. Not anymore. He stared at me like I'd become a stranger. Maybe I had. So what? He said finally. You're just done? With everything? With us? I think we should take a break, I said. His face reddened. A break? Because you won't bake cakes anymore? Are you hearing yourself? It's not about the cakes, I said quietly. It's about what they represented. You never saw my effort. You never valued my time. You took me for granted. That's not fair, isn't it? He left angry, slammed the door, sent long texts about how I was throwing away our relationship over nothing. I blocked his number and felt relief. A year passed. I built a new life. Small, but mine. I stopped going to most family gatherings, sent polite excuses, kept contact minimal. Maya graduated from college. She didn't ask me to make a cake for her celebration. She ordered from the patisserie again. I saw the photos. The cake was elaborate and expensive. Maya looked radiant. In the comments, someone asked, "Did your sister make this?" I remember her cakes were always amazing. Maya's response was brief. No, she doesn't bake anymore. No explanation, no acknowledgement of why. I closed the app. But the universe, it seemed, had a sense of poetry. Months after my rebirth, I ran into Maya at a coffee shop. She was alone, which was rare. Maya was usually surrounded by friends or admirers, but today she sat by herself, staring at her phone with a frown. She looked up when I approached. Her expression flickered, surprise, discomfort, something that might have been guilt. "Lara," she said. "Hi. Hi. Can you sit, just for a minute?" I hesitated, then joined her. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. Maya twisted her coffee cup between her hands. "I've been thinking about you," she said finally. "Okay." "About everything. About how you don't come around anymore, how you stopped baking, stopped helping," she paused, "stopped being there." I waited. "Mom says you're holding a grudge, that you're being petty. Is that what you think?" I asked. She looked up, and for the first time in years, I saw actual uncertainty in her eyes. "I don't know what to think. You just changed, out of nowhere." "I didn't change out of nowhere," I said. "I just stopped at pretending." "Pretending what?" "That it was okay, the way you treated me." I kept my voice level, calm. "Do you remember your 23rd birthday?" She blinked. That was years ago. You told me my cake was mediocre." Her face went blank. "What?" "I never..." "You did. You said it was nice for a home baker, but basic. That patisserie's made actual art." She stared at me. "Lara, I was joking. I didn't mean..." "It doesn't matter if you meant it," I said. "You said it, and you didn't see what it cost me. The hours, the effort, the care. You just saw cake." "That's not fair," she said, and her voice cracked slightly. "I've always appreciated what you did for me." "No, you didn't. You expected it. You took it for granted, and when I stopped giving it to you, you acted like I'd betrayed you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Is that really how you saw it, all those years?" "Yes." She looked down at her hands. "I didn't know. I thought we were close. I thought you loved doing those things for me." "I did love it," I said. "At first, but love without reciprocation becomes exhausting, and eventually it just becomes painful." "So you just stopped? You stopped loving me?" "No. I stopped hurting myself for you. There's a difference." We sat in silence. Maya wiped at her eyes, trying not to cry openly. "I've missed you," she said quietly. "I know I don't have a right to say that, but I have. The family doesn't feel the same without you." "I'm sure everyone's managing." "They are, but I'm not." She looked up at me. "I keep thinking about all the birthdays, all the celebrations. You were always there. You always made things special, and I never said thank you. Not really." "No," I agreed. "You didn't." "I'm sorry." The words hung between us. Simple, late, maybe meaningless. But I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen before. Genuine regret, genuine loss. "Thank you for saying that," I said. "Is it too late?" she asked. "For us?" I thought about it. Thought about the years of pain in my first life. Thought about the freedom I'd found in this one. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I'm not the person I was. I can't go back to being her." "I don't want you to," Maya said quickly. I want my sister back. The real one. Not the one who felt like she had to prove something." "Then you need to understand, I don't bake for people anymore. Not for birthdays, not for celebrations. I bake for myself, when I want to." "That's okay?" "And I don't drop everything to help anymore. I have boundaries now. I say no." "I understand. And if you dismiss me or take me for granted, I'll walk away, for good this time." Maya nodded, tears streaming down her face now. "I understand. I'll do better, I promise." I wanted to believe her, part of me did. But I'd learned that promises were just words until they were backed by action. "We'll see," I said. We finished our coffee in careful conversation. Small talk, safe topics, nothing too deep. When we parted, Maya hugged me. I let her, but I didn't soften. Trust would take time, if it came at all. 2 years into my second life, I ran into Daniel. It was inevitable, really. We moved in the same circles. But I'd done well avoiding him until now. He was at a restaurant with friends. I was there alone, treating myself to dinner. He saw me first. "Lara?" I looked up from my menu. "Daniel?" Can I talk to you for a minute?" I glanced at his table. His friends were watching. "All right." He pulled out the chair across from me without waiting for permission. Sat down heavily. "You look good," he said. "Thank you." "Happy? You look happy." I didn't respond. He fidgeted with the napkin in front of him. "I've been thinking about us a lot lately, about how things ended." "Okay. I think I made a mistake. I think I didn't appreciate what I had when I had it." "You didn't," I agreed. He blinked, surprised by my directness. "I was hoping we could talk. Maybe try again. I've changed." "Have you?" "Yes, I've grown up. I understand now what you were saying before, about being taken for granted." I studied him. He looked sincere. Maybe he even was. "Daniel," I said carefully, "do you remember my birthday dinner 2 years ago?" He frowned. "Which one?" "The one where I made you that chocolate hazelnut tort, the one that took me 2 days to make." Recognition flickered across his face. "Oh, yeah. Do you remember what you said?" He hesitated. "Not really." "You said it was good, but you'd had better at the bakery near your office." His face went pale. "Did I really say that?" "You did, and Maya laughed, and everyone moved on, like it was nothing." "Lara, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty," I said. "I'm telling you this so you understand why we can't try again. Because you didn't just fail to appreciate me, you actively dismissed me. And I don't think that's something you can change. That's not fair. People can grow." "Maybe, but I'm not interested in waiting around to find out." He leaned back, jaw tight. So that's it. You've just written me off. I've moved on. You should too. There's someone else, he said. Not a question, an accusation. No, there's just me. And that's enough. I stood, gathered my things, and left him sitting there. I didn't look back. 3 years after my rebirth, Maya invited me to her engagement party. She'd been true to her word. She'd changed, slowly but genuinely. She asked before assuming. She thanked me for small things. She respected my boundaries. We weren't as close as we'd been in my first life, but we were something better, equals. The invitation came by text, careful and hopeful. I'm getting married. I'd really love for you to be there. No pressure, no expectations, just as my sister. I looked at the message for a long time. Then I responded, I'll be there. The party was small, intimate. Maya glowed with happiness beside her fiancé, a kind man I'd met a few times and actually liked. When she saw me arrive, her face lit up. She crossed the room and hugged me tight and genuine. Thank you for coming, she whispered. Of course, she pulled back, eyes bright. I know I don't deserve it, after everything, but I'm grateful. You're my sister, I said simply. Later, as the party wound down, Maya found me again. I have something to ask, she said nervously, and I'll completely understand if you say no. I waited. Would you make my wedding cake? The question hung between us. In another life, I would have said yes immediately, would have thrown myself into it, desperate to prove my love, my worth. Now I looked at my sister and felt only calm. No, I said gently. Her face fell. Oh, okay, I understand, but I'll help you choose one. From that patisserie you love, we can go together. Maya's expression shifted. Surprise, understanding, and then acceptance. I'd like that, she said. So would I. We went the following week, spent the afternoon tasting cakes and laughing over sugar-high decisions. It was easy, light, free. When we left, Maya linked her arm through mine. You know, she said, I used to think your cakes were the best I'd ever had. I glanced at her. I was an idiot, she continued. They were incredible. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see you. You were young, I said. I was thoughtless. There's a difference. She squeezed my arm. For what it's worth, I'd give anything to have one of your cakes now. Not for a birthday or wedding, just because. Just to taste something you made with love. I stopped walking, looked at her. Maybe someday, I said, when I feel like baking. I'll wait, Maya said, however long it takes. We walked on in comfortable silence. The wedding was beautiful. The cake from the patisserie was stunning. 5 tiers of architectural perfection, adorned with sugar flowers that looked real. Maya cut into it with joy, surrounded by love and laughter, and I watched from the crowd feeling genuinely happy for her. My mother found me during the reception. It's a lovely wedding, she said. It is. Maya's grown up so much. She has. My mother hesitated. I owe you an apology, Lara. I turned to look at her. I didn't see what I was doing, she continued. All those years, I thought because you were capable, you didn't need support. I thought because you were strong, you didn't need acknowledgement. I was wrong. Yes, I said, you were. I'm sorry. The words were simple, years too late, but genuine. Thank you, I said. We stood together, watching Maya dance with her new husband, and for the first time in years, I felt something like peace with my family. Not forgiveness, not forgetting, but peace. 4 years after my rebirth, I opened a small pottery studio. I didn't bake professionally, didn't turn my skills into a business. Instead, I took the patience and precision I developed through baking and channeled it into clay. I made things for myself. cups and bowls and vases, imperfect but honest. I taught classes twice a week, small groups who came to learn, to create, to find calm in the rhythm of shaping something with their hands. It was quiet work, unremarkable to most, but it was mine. Maya visited sometimes. She'd sit at the wheel and make lopsided mugs that made her laugh. She never asked me to bake, never pushed for more than I offered. My mother came once, watched me teach, and said, "You seem happy." "I am," I said. "I'm glad." Daniel, I heard, had gotten engaged. I felt nothing about it except mild curiosity about who would bake his wedding cake. On the 4-year anniversary of my rebirth, or my death, depending on how you counted, I woke up in my small apartment and felt sunlight on my face. I made coffee, sat by the window, watched the city wake up, and I thought about the woman I'd been in my first life, the one who'd poured herself empty trying to fill others, the one who'd died exhausted and unappreciated. I thought about her with compassion now, with understanding. She'd been doing her best with the tools she had. She'd believed love meant sacrifice. She'd believed worth came from usefulness. She'd been wrong, but she'd been trying, and in the end, she'd been given a gift, the chance to try again. I didn't know if this was magic, or mercy, or just blind luck. It didn't matter. What mattered was that I'd taken the second chance and built something different, something that belonged to me. I finished my coffee. Later that day, for the first time in 4 years, I baked, not for anyone else, not for a birthday or celebration or obligation, just for me. I made a small cake, single layer, simple. No decoration except a dusting of powdered sugar. I cut a slice, tasted it, and smiled. It was perfect, not because it was professionally made or artfully decorated or worthy of praise, but because I made it for myself, with no expectation of anything in return. I ate it slowly, savouring each bite, and felt more satisfied than I'd felt in 2 lifetimes. The doorbell rang. Maya stood outside holding a bag of groceries. "Thought I'd make us dinner," she said. "If you're free." I opened the door wider. She came in, noticed the cake on the counter, and froze. "You baked?" "I did. Can I—" She hesitated. "Can I have a piece?" I looked at my sister, at the hope and nervousness in her face, at the genuine respect she'd learned to show me. I cut a slice, small, handed it to her. She took a bite and closed her eyes. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Thank you." "I mean it, Lara. This is incredible." "I know," she laughed, surprised. "You know?" "Yes, I've always known." We stood in my small kitchen, eating cake in comfortable silence, and I felt the last piece of my old life release its hold on me. I'd been given a second chance, not to fix the past, but to free myself from it. And in that freedom, I'd found something I'd lost in my first life and reclaimed in this one, myself. The woman I'd always been beneath the expectations, beneath the need to be useful, beneath the fear of being mediocre. I was enough, just as I was, just as I'd always been. The cake was gone. The kitchen was clean. Maya left with a hug and plans to visit next week. I stood alone in my apartment as the sun set, painting the walls gold and amber, and felt nothing but quiet satisfaction. No revenge, no bitterness, no lingering pain, just peace. The kind that comes from choosing yourself. The kind that comes from understanding that love without self-respect is just slow dissolution. The kind that comes from learning, finally, that the only approval you truly need is your own. I had died once, empty and exhausted. I had lived again, full and free. And that second chance, that impossible gift, had taught me the simplest and most profound truth. I never needed their validation. I only needed mine. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, I stood in perfect stillness, content, whole, mine. And that was enough. That was everything.